Friedrich Chopin was born in 1810 in Zelazowa Wola, Poland. Almost all of his compositions were written just for the piano. Chopin wrote beautiful music for the piano and invented new ways of playing it. Friedrich Chopin loved and understood music at a very early age. When he was about 4 years old, he liked to lie under the piano while his older sister, Louisa, practiced. Sometimes he would burst into tears because he thought the music was so beautiful. Friedrich soon began experimenting with the piano himself. His parents were amazed by how quickly their son learned things on his own. When Friedrich was 6 years old, they decided to find him a teacher. Adalbert Zwanny was Friedrich's first music teacher. He taught his new student basic piano skills. He also taught Friedrich a love for the music of such great composers from the past as Johann Sebastian Bach and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. It wasn't long before everyone realized that young Friedrich Chopin had a remarkable gift for music. Friedrich once told his father that it would be much easier for him to express his feelings if they could be put into notes of music. Friedrich Chopin was a good student and listened to his teacher, but he enjoyed making up his own music more than anything else. By the time Chopin was 8 years old, some of his musical pieces had been published, and he had even given a public concert. At the concert, Friedrich was more worried about what the audience thought of his new velvet coat and collar than what they thought about his music. As it turned out, the audience loved Chopin's music. Mr. and Mrs. Chopin were proud of Friedrich's musical talent. They made sure he had an excellent education in other areas too. Mr. Chopin taught French to the children of wealthy families in Warsaw, Poland's capital city. He knew the importance of education and good manners. The Chopins became friends with many of Warsaw's most interesting people. Friedrich got used to having dukes, countesses, poets, authors, and artists visiting his home all the time. While growing up, Friedrich Chopin was always polite, well-mannered, and concerned about dressing neatly. Because of this, some people think he must have had a boring childhood. But Friedrich was like lots of other kids. One of his favorite things to do was ride horses, although he later wrote that he wasn't very good at it. Poland was having all kinds of problems when Friedrich Chopin was growing up. The biggest problem was that Poland was always being taken over by more powerful countries. One of Poland's neighbors, Russia, decided it would like to keep a part of Poland for itself. When Friedrich was 15 years old, he was asked to give a performance for Tsar Alexander I, the ruler of Russia. The Tsar gave Friedrich a diamond ring after the concert. That was an exciting moment for Friedrich Chopin. Chopin was becoming well known and appreciated, but he was also becoming bothered that the Polish people were being bossed around by outsiders. Chopin's teenage years were very important. He was getting his ideas together on how he felt about his country, his music, and his future. He especially learned a lot from going on summer vacations with his family. In the countryside of Poland, Friedrich Chopin saw the hard-working Polish peasants and heard their music. People had been singing and dancing to this music for hundreds of years. Friedrich got lots of ideas for his own music from these trips. One popular folk dance Friedrich learned about was the Mazurka. The music for this dance can be lively and exciting or sweetly sad. It was an important part of the lives of Polish peasants. People felt proud of their homeland when they heard and danced mazurkas. They knew they had something of their own that even a bossy czar couldn't take from them. Friedrich Chopin ended up composing more than 50 of his own mazurkas. He added his own special touches, and mazurkas became one of the most popular works. Chopin's Mazurka in B flat major, Op. 7, number 1, is a good example of how he captured the spirit, fun, and excitement of Polish life in his music. After Friedrich finished high school and music college, he traveled to other countries in Europe to give performances. After a few very successful trips, Friedrich and his family and teachers thought there would be better opportunities for him in cities like Vienna, Austria, and Paris, France. Music was much more popular in these cities than it was in Warsaw. On November 2nd, 1830, Friedrich Chopin decided to leave Poland to make his fortune. He didn't know it then, but he would never return to the country he loved so much. At the time Chopin left home, Poland wasn't the only country with problems. People all over Europe were getting fed up with outside governments trying to take over their countries or having their own uncaring rulers run their lives. It was a dangerous time to be traveling. Even so, Friedrich continued on to Paris. Along the way, he heard shocking news. A group of Polish citizens had started a rebellion to throw out the Russian Tsar and his soldiers. Friedrich was upset and was worried about the safety of his friends and families. He became inspired to compose one of his most exciting and powerful pieces, the Etude in C minor, also known as the Revolutionary Etude. This piece is filled with the spirit of rebellion. In parts, it seems to explode with rushing piano sounds. All of Chopin's hopes for his country come alive in this amazing piano piece. In the past, Friedrich had given concerts as a way of making money and becoming better known. But even though he was one of the best pianists ever, Chopin never really enjoyed playing for big audiences. In fact, he was usually terrified of performing. In Paris, people weren't that interested in Chopin's concerts because Chopin wasn't as big a show-off and didn't play as loudly as the other piano virtuosos. That was just fine with Friedrich. Now he was able to spend more time composing and playing for small groups of friends. Chopin also found he could make lots of money giving piano lessons to members of the wealthy families he met in Paris. Chopin composed so many different types of music that it's sometimes hard to keep them all straight. Some of his most popular pieces are dances like mazurkas, polonaises, and waltzes. Most of these pieces weren't really meant to be danced to. They were more about the spirit of dancing and the excitement of the times. He also wrote etudes. These are short studies used for teaching piano, but Chopin turned them into much more than simple studies. In the Revolutionary Etude, for example, you can almost feel Chopin's fiery temper. Chopin's Waltz in D major, Op. 64, number 1, is so quick and breathless that everyone calls it the minute waltz, although no one can play it in a minute. The Nocturnes are another popular category. The word nocturne means night piece. Chopin's nocturnes are slow and dreamy in feeling. They're great to listen to when you want to relax and just think about things.
Hi everyone, I hope you enjoyed the story about Chopin and his life. I'm going to play you two pieces now, and I want you to decide which piece is which. One of the pieces is an etude, and it's about the ocean. So you're thinking, does this sound like the ocean? And the other piece is about rain. It's called the Raindrop Prelude. And so you'll be like, is this about the ocean or is this about rain when you listen to them? So you need to decide, is the first song the ocean and is the second song rain, or is the first song rain and the second song the ocean? Okay, here we go. Okay, how did you do? If you guessed that the first song was rain and the second one was the ocean, then you were right.